Hi, this is Lilia from the Help Yourself podcast. And today I've got with me Gary Young from the Mindful Enterprise. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Lilia.
Thank you so much for coming on. Now, I came across Gary, on Facebook, as we meet a lot of people these days, but you did a live last week that really resonated with me. And I think, like a lot of people, the challenges that particularly I've been feeling, I lost my mum a couple of weeks ago, and up until then I was locked down with her anyway. So it's only really in the last 2 weeks I've fully understood, I can't go out, I can't jump in the car, I can't go to Glasgow, I can't jump in a plane. So suddenly I've only really discovered lockdown in the last 2 weeks, and the fear, the incredible fear that's out there, I'm like, it's actually stunned me quite a lot the way people have been behaving. So it was such a breath of fresh air to listen to you and just think, oh yeah, there's other people that see it just in a slightly more positive way. So can you just tell us about the Mindful Enterprise and talk a little bit about what you're doing in your communities?
Sure. Sorry to hear about your mum first and foremost. So my love to you for that. And the Mindful Enterprise is a social enterprise that I essentially we started pulling this together in 2016, and we went live out into the market in 2017, which was probably between spring and summer in 2017. And what the business does is we provide mindfulness and well-being support to individual consumers, to businesses and their employees, to schools, and that's where a lot of our kind of real passionate work comes in. The social mission is really to try and influence a change within education in Scotland, where we can have mindfulness and meditation integrated into the curriculum, so that our young people, children and young people, can really benefit from it, and they can grow very positively with all of these techniques and a heightened sense of self-awareness and peacefulness within them.
Absolutely, that is fantastic. Just before we go on, can you talk about the social enterprise? Because we set Heal Scotland up as a social enterprise too. And, I didn't know anything about social enterprises until over about 2.5 years ago, when one of my really good friends, Ilsa Clark, introduced me to the concept. And I was like, how did that escape me? Can you just talk about that? About
Sure.
Exactly what a social enterprise is as opposed to a business. I'm going to shut this window because the kids are screaming outside.
No worries.
Yes.
So social enterprise, for me, where obviously you're looking to sell products and services, and you're looking to use the profits that you make, or a percentage of the profits that you make, to go towards some kind of social mission, where you're trying to address a problem of some sort. And the problem that I identified, and the reason that the business came to fruition, was that we have an epidemic of mental health related issues right throughout society, that is now affecting people of all ages. And when people are struggling with their mental health, as we know, there's a number of different things that can be byproducts of that, and ultimately it's people suffer, and they suffer. A lot of people suffer unnecessarily because they don't know how to interact with their minds. They don't know how to relate to their thoughts and emotions in a way that means that they don't get overwhelmed by them, and they've not got access to tools that can allow us to evolve spiritually, where we can actually heal our past, which is all the wonderful work that you're doing through Heal Scotland as well, helping people to heal and realise their potential, both in their physical capacity, but also in a sort of human development and growth capacity, where we can really flourish in life and align ourselves to our highest purpose that we're here to bring to this world, because we've all got it. we're all here for a purpose, and there's many people that aren't aware of that, or they don't find what their unique purpose is. And as a result of that, they're never maybe fully happy as they go through their life because they're not in alignment with that. So for me, the creation of the social enterprise was to create a model whereby we could affect beneficiary groups at all ends of the business. So if we go in and we do work in a business to give insight and knowledge and skills and experiences to people within a business context, to give them the tools they need to kind of navigate their lives and hopefully maybe start to integrate a regular practice of mindfulness into their life so they can really benefit from it. One of the byproducts of that not only is about improving the health and well-being of the employees of organizations, but when a sort of growing critical mass of people within businesses start to embody mindfulness, they can change the culture of that business. And when the cultures of businesses evolve, then people start to be able to enjoy their work more. People start to be able to connect more deeply with one another in the office. People start to be able to make better choices. So all of that stuff comes from it. So that was the first part of the business that we thought that's an important area, because it provides a funding vehicle for the other parts of the business too. So the business side of things is an income generator as well. And what we then do is we provide training for individuals, and we do courses of mindfulness, 8-week courses, and then follow-on courses to that for people who want to go a bit deeper with their practice. And we provide day retreats and weekend retreats for people to go and have an immersive experience in a off-site venue, a lovely venue, often where we've got nature right on our doorstep, where people can combine mindfulness and nature, and really leave there feeling rejuvenated. So that's the other strand that we've got for individuals. And then we're using a percentage of the profits we make from that work, the business and the individual stuff that we do, to subsidise the training that we offer in schools, where we can offer that at a cheaper rate for schools. And we do some free stuff as well. It gives us the ability, if we can get funds in that allows, me to be able to, pay myself a modest wage to allow me to do my business. And then it means that I can actually afford time to also do free things for schools, and working with the children, with teachers and with parents, as we've started to do as well. And also do some project work out in communities as well, deprived communities.
Fantastic.
So
you're covering all bases, and I think that's the model certainly for Heal Scotland we are looking at, is that the people that can afford to pay can help to subsidise the people. Because I'm really, the whole free thing I'm really passionate about, because I think if you can afford it, there's tons of self-help and mindfulness in all the different courses out there. There's a ton of choice, but we're still missing the people that need it most, arguably. And I used to volunteer for a charity that's still going, called the Second Chance Project. And the actual feedback I got from that was phenomenal, because I wasn't getting paid. They knew there was no agenda. I was genuinely doing it because I was like, listen, guys, this letting go stuff is so fascinating when you understand about nutrition and how it can change everything. So I came from that perspective of, I've got really good news for you and tools for you. And if you're getting paid, it just changes everything, So I think there's this, if you don't pay for it, you don't value it. And I'm just, I think that's something that we all repeat. I think that people will pay for things and don't value it, and people will not pay for things and not value it all the way through. But you will, the reality is there are people that have far more opportunity in life than others. And, and I think, again, if you look at the quantum model and we're all interconnected, we have to be looking at the people that don't vote, can't vote, have never had a nutrient in their entire lives, have never had a human being to trust. I've never had love and compassion. That's really, I'm really, really keen and passionate to get to that that part
Absolutely.
of our country as well.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's the hardest work to do, because these are individuals, as you've alluded to, that have suffered in many different ways in their lives in terms of the start that they've had in life and the ongoing conditions that they find themselves in. And, you know, when we look, there's people that look upon these communities in a very non-compassionate way.
Absolutely.
And they just, you know, they'll use derogatory language to describe them, and they'll just think that you know, they're people that we shouldn't bother about.
Yeah.
And I, like you, disagree with that. And going back to the quantum model that you've highlighted, the model points quite clearly to the fact that if we want to lift humanity as a collective, we have to invest time, energy, resources in helping to lift up these communities. And if we can give them, if we can help to empower them, if we can help to give them the knowledge and the information, and they're willing, that is the key thing, because not everybody's willing and ready to accept help. And some people don't want to, they're just constantly living in survival, and they've got so many kind of dynamics to their brain and the way that they interact with the world, that it can be very difficult to get through to people too. So it really has to be where we do it in a way that's non-patronizing, and it's very much a kind of open and warm engagement, where we say, guys, we believe in your potential, even though you've gone through all the stuff you've gone through. We see the potential in you. We believe you've been left behind a bit, and we want to try and help you. And if we do that in a, you know, in a really pure and genuine way, then we will get the people that are really ready and want it will step forward. And then the people that maybe aren't ready at that moment may be ready a year down the line. But
Absolutely.
we started the process going. So we need to do that. And this is where we need the people at the top, that unfortunately some people are, but many are not focusing on the people in the kind of, you know, in the kind of lower halves of society, if you like, the have-nots. We need the people who have to put more investment into the projects that are going on to help these communities, because it affects everybody, as you've highlighted, through this you know, this interconnectedness that we have energy-wise.
They say that, you know, the happiness of a country is decided by the division in their wealth. And obviously, I mean, it's becoming apparent all over the world that our systems really only serve the elite few, and the polarities, I think, is obviously from a spiritual perspective. We know there's the polarities, but the polarities are becoming a lot more obvious. And I think that's the thing that I'm like, whoa, you know, it's the kind of looking down at people that haven't been as fortunate as is just a thing that we do, you know. And you have you read Chasing the Scream?
No.
Oh my God, just a revolution, just a life-changing book, because he was just saying that. But people, it's not the drugs, it's the feelings that we're addicted to.
Yeah.
People are trying to get away from the abuse of the past, and you know, a very small percentage are actually, I think he said 10%, you know, have an addiction issue. The rest, it's just trying to get away, and we all do it to a certain degree. You don't like how you feel, you find a way to distract yourself.
That's right.
And that's really what we're doing. And you spoke a little bit there about mindfulness. Let's talk about that now, what you actually teach. And you said something that I really liked, which was when we start to feel what was in the body. You know, I mean, the kind of buzzword is trigger, isn't it? Can you just talk a little bit about the trigger and what we would do in the old world and what we're now trying to teach ourselves to do in the new in the new?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was our little conversation before we came on here and started this, and very much we've got the old world where it's maybe there's people that have always maybe been brought up in a way of not to pay attention to their feelings, not to pay attention to emotion, and just basically just get on with it and just deal with it. And I think that that model of kind of parenting and educating children in that way is something that is really quite prevalent within Scotland, because we've got this kind of hard image of just get on with it, stop crying, just pick yourself up and get on. And there is a time in our lives where we do need to hear encouraging words of, come on, we just need to get on and not kind of dwell too much on maybe
The
sort
drama.
of negative feelings and drama. But the world that we need to create moving forward is a greater level of emotional intelligence and an intelligence about our feelings and where these feelings emanate from, because this is how we learn and grow as a human. So if we don't pay attention to this world of feelings within the body and explore that and honor that, then we grow in an emotionally unintelligent way. And we are therefore not very, it can lead to us becoming quite harsh and cold towards emotions and feelings, which means that we can then deal with others in the same way. And we can be unkind, and we can be, we can find it hard to display compassion. And it all starts from ourselves. And it all starts from how we relate to our own thoughts, feelings, and emotions, in a way where we can develop a more kind and compassionate side to ourselves, or how we relate to ourselves. We develop this more compassionate and kind relationship. And by looking at this kind of world of feelings, then if we do it in a mindful way, then what we're doing is we're becoming aware of feelings as they're emerging from the body, and we're becoming curious to it rather than suppressing, ignoring,
trying to
denying, push it away. We allow it space to be there. So we use the breath and we breathe into the body so we can give it more space so that it doesn't become so intense. And that space that we create in the body gives it space to be there. And also, because as we know, emotion is energy, it's energy in motion, which is where the word comes from. That we need to find positive ways to allow that to be liberated from the physical body. And we can do that in a number of different ways, whether it be through some kind of self-regulation type techniques, whether it's through talking to people and really sharing what's going on behind that emotion, whether it be doing something energetic in the body to free ourselves, whether it's yoga, whether it's whatever it is, something that we can do to help that to come out. And we can do that in a really controlled and measured way, rather than a reactive way that we just shout at somebody, or we get involved in a angry conversation of conflict, because emotion can lead to us making some snap decisions that may not be in our best interests, and also not in the interests of other people too. So mindfulness helps us to manage that environment in a much more positive way. And we start to learn techniques to work with emotion, create the space between the stimulus of the emotion or the feeling, and then how we respond in that moment. And when we resource ourselves and we start to explore it, we give it a little bit of little bit of exploration, investigation. Wonder where that's come from. And sometimes we can see that what maybe lies at the root of that. And I'll use a really kind of simple example, but we could feel like really agitated, really angry, or grumpy. And we don't really know why we're grumpy, but our mood's changed. But when we start to go into the body and just pay a little bit of attention to what's going on there, the body speaks and the wisdom of the body, the intelligence of the body starts to communicate a bit more around what may be happening. And then we can start to, oh, right, okay, now I know where the grumpiness came from. Actually, well, before, I felt that, I'd actually started to think about in my mind a past situation that really irritated me. And that I become lost in thought in that, and it triggered the feeling and the emotion in the body. And then I started to feel grumpy. And then I actually spoke unkindly to that person, and I was unconscious as I did that. So mindfulness is bringing us to our senses, where we become conscious of what's going on, and it then allows us, we get the wisdom of what's going on, and it allows us to then make a wise choice in how we handle a situation, or how we respond to somebody. We don't just do it from in a place of unconscious reactivity. So that hopefully is given a bit of insight into how we can work with the body, work with the mind in a way that's more mindful, and really benefit from it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Beautifully explained. Thank you. And I think you talked about the body's intelligence there, and that's another thing that I'm incredibly passionate about, because I work primarily with people who have been diagnosed terminal or incurable. And we all know that there's a myriad of diets and mindfulness and meditations and exercises you can do. But if you're terrified, if you've been given a terrifying, or the voodoo curse, as Joe Dispenza calls it, it's a minefield of what do you actually do, and what do you need to do, and for how long do you need to do it before you can expect to experience some healing. And the big message is that there's no one size fits all. I think we're all really starting to get that now. One diet doesn't suit everyone for various reasons that we'll not go into right now. So really being able to tap into your own intelligence, and Kelly Turner's new book's called Radical Hope, where she's expanded the disease from cancer to any scary disease, and it's about the 9 steps. Only 3 of them are physical, and all the rest are metaphysical. And it's tapping in and trusting the information, because when you start to ask the questions, and when you start to listen to the body, I know when I started letting go a good number of years ago, 15 or so years ago, I was absolutely cut off from the neck down, and I couldn't believe how many times I was getting hurt by things. I was like, because I started to listen in, and you can feel it, and a lot of it was from the past, obviously. Some of it was from the moment, but it's actually, it's the most powerful relationship in the world is the one with yourselves and your intelligence and your guides and your relationship with the universe or the divine, whatever you want to call it. I think it's really exciting, and it's so empowering. And let's just talk a little bit about the fear that's around us now. And maybe you could give us a little tip, because from what I teach is, when fear comes in, we look through these glasses and all we see is problems. And when we release the fear, the problems dissipate or disappear. So the fear, we know, is great for helping us to run away or do some, fight, flight, freeze, hide, whatever. But when we're in this continuous cycle of, the chemistry, the adrenaline, the cortisol. Could you talk to that in terms of mindfulness?
Sure. I mean, you've highlighted a lot of great points there, and it's about trying to see how we can step out of this perpetual state of fear that may be affecting a lot of people right now. Anxiety will be rife, and as you say, when we look through the lens of fear, not only do we see problems more often than not, but we also lose perspective, and we lose our ability to think rationally and to make wise choices in the moment, because we're in survival mode. And when we're in survival, it's not about thinking, it's about doing, it's about protecting. So self-protect, when we're in that self-preservation type of mentality, we're not kind of open to open-minded to other ideas. We're not open-minded to other people's views. We're not kind of, so it affects a lot. And as you've said, it also affects the chemistry within the body. And when we start to get into cycles of that, let's say we're thinking into the future and there's worry there and there's fear there, then what we're doing is we're priming the brain and the body for fear and the hormones of fear as well. The kind of the as you said, stress and adrenaline, and the body then craves that familiar feeling, so it keeps taking people back down the same road over and over. Yes. So in order for us to use or apply mindfulness to help to free ourselves from that, because it can become really deep-rooted pattern for people.
Yes, chronic, and it's exhausting.
Chronic. Yeah, exhausting. Yeah, the kind of the racing thoughts, the kind of and people are so caught in the grip of what their mind is telling them. Mm-hmm. They've lost the ability to observe what the mind's doing. So we have to go through this process of, first of all, stopping to bring ourselves present. That's the first step. So we notice what the mind's doing. Okay, I'm worrying. There's anxious thoughts there. We have to recognize what's going on in the mind. So that's the first step. We stop. We notice. And then when we step back and try and see the stuff that's going on in our minds, not as kind of not that we're up in the story of it. We're not part of the story. We're the observer, just watching what's going on in the mind. And that creates a little bit more of kind of a disidentification, if you like, of what's going on in the mind. That's a crucial step of mindfulness, where we stay present with the breath. So we've got awareness of the breath. And if we were just to take our attention down into the breath and just follow it, what people will notice when they do that is that they're not thinking. We're not engaging in thinking at that point. Mm-hmm. So we've become present and we've stepped out of the thinking mind. And because we've stepped out of the thinking mind, it means that we've also stepped out of the worrying mind. So by using the breath, we become present. That's one of the ways we can do it. And once we start to become a little bit more, we've resourced ourselves a little bit more, we can start to then just still see what's happening in the mind, but to stay present with it rather than get swept away in the story of it. So we start engaging in thinking again. Again, we just stay connected to the breath, and we're aware of thoughts emerging in our mind, but we're just observing them, not actually following them and getting into the story. And then we can start to see that actually these are just thoughts. These are just mental events passing through. These are echoes from the past, the patterns that have been developed through the conditioning of the mind. And we don't need to get caught up in that. And then by doing that, we start to then bring the rational brain back online, because we've become present. The prefrontal cortex comes back online. We start to then be more considered with what's happening and how we're going to respond to it. But there's a crucial thing in here as well, and that is that self-compassion is crucial in this moment, because one of the things that is a compassionate act is to recognize our suffering through engaging in thought patterns that are not helpful for us. That is recognizing our own suffering. A form of suffering is engaging actively in negative thinking. So what we do when we notice that is we make a choice that we're going to look after ourselves better in the moment. We're going to step back from the worried thinking. We're going to resource ourselves by coming into the body, connecting with the breath, slowing the breath down so that we can become more peaceful and more calm. And we can start to lose the grip of the thoughts, and we can decide just to let them go. And when we let the thoughts go, thoughts are self-arising, but they're also self-liberating if we just let them go. So we release the grip, and when we do that, we disconnect from the strong and intense feelings that are going on in the body. and over time we can just bring ourselves back into balance. So that's how we apply a mindful approach to that. And the kind of final step, I guess, after that is that we can then, once we feel more calm and not as overwhelmed by our thinking, and the thoughts have kind of drifted away, we can then say something kind and encouraging to ourselves that just brings ourselves back to our senses, really. What is this real? Is this true? Has this happened? Is this maybe, just an assumption? Is it, whatever it might be? And when we start to do that, we can then move forward a bit more positively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I teach letting go, and it's just another way, isn't it, of like, just instead of being in that contracted state, it's just to go, and that's the challenge. And would you say, I mean, it's practice, isn't it? I mean, very few of us get this overnight. We
Correct.
need to work literally on ourselves and take ownership of our behaviours and our reactions, and don't expect to get it all, in 1 week or 1 day or 1 hour, as some people expect. And I don't think we ever really arrive. I think the more we strive to be a loving, compassionate, and to be at service of others, and to fulfill the purpose that we came here to fulfill, then you've always got to just be very mindful of what you're thinking, believing, projecting, because the thing that I find, obviously, if you're setting goals, is how others can put you off your track, and they don't do it deliberately a lot of the time. It's just saying, that won't work, oh, you can't do that, or and we know that most of the incredible things that have happened, most people laughed at them initially, but somebody just gets the bit between their teeth. And that's really what we're doing now with, your practice and with Heal Scotland, is we're like, this is the most exciting work and empowering work I think you can ever learn. And it's all about you. You're not relying on other people to make you happy. You're not relying on other people to do anything for you. You become this really peaceful warrior, if you like. But you have to do the work, the practice.
You do, 100%. And the other thing to say about fear is that it is a block to our progress, and they've said it's quite clear that we can't be in a state of growth as well as being in a state of survival. So we're either in one or the other. So growth and maintenance and repair, and that, if we want to be in that kind of state, we need to keep lifting ourselves out of the fear. And fear obviously contracts the heart as well. We can become angry through fear and stressed and reactionary, and it kind of it just limits our ability to be loving and
to heal. That's the thing with the system. It literally terrifies people, and I feel that I'm spending a lot of my time helping people to let go of the fear, but then they go back and they get more fear, and we really have to take responsibility for what we're believing, don't we?
Yeah, we do, absolutely. And this is where there's a kind of an interesting sort of balancing act at the moment with all the things that are going on, because you and I and others are putting out there information that we think is really necessary and important for people to understand, or at least try and look at, and try and maybe use it as a way to maybe kind of open their minds a little bit to other possibilities. And we're doing that with pure intentions. We're not doing it to try and put fear into people. And so there's a balance there between putting that information out and then coming in with some kind of positive solutions behind it, to say, because I don't want to be the person that moans about all the problems that there are out in the world there, about politics and all the rest of it, and do nothing about it, because that just doesn't achieve anything. So I'm going to be, you said, a peaceful warrior. I resonate with that. I want to be somebody who retains my own inner peace, but is a force to be reckoned with out there in the world, just like you are. And when we get the bit between our teeth with something, we're going to make things happen. And that's our gift to the world. So we have to harness that, and we have to not turn away from that just because other people might tell us that, you know, that it won't work. And just like maybe other people try and shut us down or close us down with, you know, mocking, angry comments on, you know, social media and things like that. We have to just treat these people compassionately, but we have to keep moving forward. And because people don't get the information that we're putting out there, and they're not willing to try and understand it, they're not willing to allow their belief system to be expanded or challenged, that we can't control that. We can only just keep being kind to people, and the intentions for me behind the sharing of the information, but in parallel mobilizing, and I'm about to do this this week, and you're going to be included in what I'm trying to do, is I want to try and mobilize people. You said before about, you know, finding your tribe of people who really want to be change makers and have a positive effect on the world and the communities around us, is to try and mobilize to get some ideas pulled together of how we can share information in a really positive way, where people have got choice if they choose to look at the information or not, and we can provide it in a way that maybe doesn't necessarily have to be on social media. We can do it through other channels, but we do it in a way that it's orderly and referenced, so that it's like an information library, essentially, that people can access the content, and also then take what, you know, some of the information that we've gathered, and then do something that is more formal to basically take this in some kind of maybe a letter, which references all the key points that we are concerned about, and we want to open up discourse with MPs, with people who are in the current positions. If they close the door shut, based on the fact that we've given all this information and we've given really strong supporting evidence, if they choose to ignore that, then we have to go our own way, and we have to row our own boat. And this is where we have to then start to get people within the community to start to create these community networks that come together to try and create independence within communities, independence of the state. Therefore, we're not listening to what they say. We're making our own rules, and we're forming our own mini government, if you like. And
absolutely,
we'll take back the power, and that's how we do it.
I know, absolutely. Amen to that, bro. Fantastic. Right, well, that's I mean, we're going to come on and we're going to talk again, because we've got loads of exciting information to share, and that's what I was saying. It's so good because it's empowering. And, you know, and you start to really feel your energy coming back, and speaking to other people that are, you're like, yes, yeah, let's do this. You know, I just wish somebody had taught me this when I was 8. I teach my grandkids EFT and letting go and breathing, because it's so easy, you know, and if you teach them when they're young, they don't have to be this mucked up adult, you know. So I just think it's really super inspiring. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
I'll put the links to your website, because you go into schools. Where are you based?
Based in Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. So you go into schools, community work, individual work. So anybody that wants to learn more can contact you.
They can do, absolutely. And the website we're going to be doing a bit of work on in the near future, but at the moment it's just fairly basic, with information of who we are and what we do. The other information that we put out there is through our social media pages and through Eventbrite and various places.
You can send me the links and I'll add them all in, and we need to tribe up, and we need to support each other in this really super important.
Absolutely.
I know. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'll chat to you again soon.